Welcome to the Restless Journey, the official podcast of Austin Prep. This series offers a closer look at the people, programs, and purposeful initiatives that bring our core values to life. Each episode, we invite voices from across the Austin Prep community, students, faculty, alumni, and friends to share insights, experiences, and reflections that shape who we are today and where we're headed tomorrow. Now, let's get started with today's episode of the Restless Journey podcast.
Welcome to the next episode of the Restless Journey podcast. My name is Tyler Fleming, Austin Prep Senior Director of Communications, and we have a first on the podcast today, our first ever professional athlete as a guest on the show. Welcome, Evan Blanco, Austin Prep's class of 2022. Welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me.
So, big news in the last week or so with you. As I noted, professional athlete. You were selected in the 2026 Major League Baseball draft in the 13th round, the 381st pick by the Athletics. So we're looking forward to learning more about what that experience was like, talking a little bit about what you've done in the 4 years since you've been an Austin Prep student, but also digging into those 4 years as an Austin Prep student, Austin Prep baseball player, kind of how that shaped who you are, who you've become as a collegiate baseball player, but then ultimately as a professional athlete. So looking forward to digging into all of that. So first and foremost, I'd love to know what last weekend was like for you, and then even if you maybe want to take it to that week before, because I have to imagine all types of emotions, excitement, concerns, fears, nerves, all types of things. So what was that week like for you? And then talk us through the weekend and how that kind of went.
Yeah, so I mean, the week leading up to it was a little chaotic, kind of on and off the phone with both my agent, representatives, but also like the scouting directors / like scouting departments of each team, getting to know me on a deeper level. Seeing that I'm not, just a baseball player, but knowing that I have a good head on my shoulders is a super big deal with MLB teams. The way that I've heard it is talent can get you far, but I mean, having, a great mindset and a great head on your shoulders can take you even further. So doing those phone calls, kind of figuring out what the draft process would look like as well. As a senior, it was kind of tough this year, like kind of navigating / predicting where I would fall in the draft. Just because I have no next year in college, you know what I mean? Like there's no leverage to go back to school. So, it was a little nerve-wracking as well, just because I didn't know where I would fall in the draft, especially because the MLB draft is it's very based on, negotiation once you get past like the 5th round. So like rounds 1 through 5 are very focused on, best player available. And then after that, there's a lot of negotiation, a lot of money saving. So a lot of seniors will get picked like rounds 6 through 10 under slot and get picked. I thought that I would eventually fall into that, but I mean, luckily, everyone says that, you want to get picked early, but I mean, I love where I was picked. That was kind of our plan, me and my advisors and agency, to just try to put me in the best position possible. But this weekend was fun. Saturday, the first day of the draft, I heard a few things like, you'll be ready early on Sunday, like you might get a phone call, but, my agent handles all that. So it's not like you see, like you mentioned, like the NFL before we hopped on the microphone where you see the dude get on the phone. My situation was a little bit different. On Sunday, my agent handled all the talking for me. We kind of put a plan in place for what I wanted out of this whole thing and what he thought was best for me. And, I trusted his judgment. His name's Alex Ott. He works with the team, which is a fairly reputable baseball agency. So he didn't even call me when I got drafted. He was, I think, supposed to, but it kind of happened all so quick that, I was kind of just hanging out with my family. I was in my backyard with my mom, a few of my aunts, a few of my uncles, and my phone just started blowing up and everyone was saying congrats, and I was like, I guess this thing just happened. And then I checked my phone and saw that I got drafted, so it was a pretty cool moment.
So it sounds like you even got the information from a second source or internet or some draft tracker.
Yeah, I think the people that were texting me. I think they got it off of social media.
Okay.
So I found out, I guess, through social media, but through some friends that
Sure.
congratulated me as well.
Sure. So I think what's interesting about kind of following your baseball journey is I think we probably all knew that this was eventually going to happen for you. It was just a matter of when, back to high school, through the collegiate days. I think we all had you pegged as a Major League Baseball player. So it was just a matter of when. So, I think that's probably been on your mind for all those years. So kind of two things. What does it feel like to now that's been done and it's happened? But then I think what I'm really interested in is what's cool about this is I presume you grew up your whole life, your whole childhood as a Major League Baseball fan. So once that relief goes that you've been picked, then now the fun part is like, oh, what team am I going to be on? So I'd really like to get your thoughts on when you did find out it was the Athletics, and now this is my new home, my new people. So first off, just tell us a little bit about those emotions that, this, I'm going to say, 6-year-ish process of like, maybe this is who I'm going to be. What was that like to kind of be done with?
Yeah, I mean, it was super relieving. This is obviously something that a lot of people dream of and don't have the opportunity to do. So I'm extremely fortunate. It still doesn't feel real to me. I'm sure that once I get down there, like it'll start to feel a little bit more real. But I mean, I've thought about doing this every single day since I was probably like 8 years old. And, finally, now that it has happened, it still doesn't feel real. Like it feels like I'm dreaming.
So then how about when you learned where you were going?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about the Athletics?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised at first because, I think I spoke to about 28 organizations before the draft, and the Athletics were not one of them.
Mm.
So it was very surprising, but I think it's a great fit. They've proved to love younger players, like sending players up pretty quick. So me and the draft class coming in, like we are all super talented, obviously, because we've earned an opportunity. But it's a younger organization that likes to prioritize the young guys, and I think that's super exciting.
I think an additional aspect of going to the Athletics that's unique and fun is that, and just some background on me, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay.
So I grew up as an Oakland Athletics fan in the late 80s. Ricky Henderson's my all-time favorite baseball player. So it's sad to see them leave the Bay Area, but they are transitioning to a new home. They're going to be the Las Vegas Athletics here in a couple of years. They're building a brand new stadium on the Las Vegas Strip. I think 2028 is when that's going to open, and the team will be there. So I think that has to be an added kind of unique level of excitement that you're going to an organization that is moving and going to a whole new home. Have you been able to think that far ahead about, this is kind of a new era for athletics baseball?
Yeah, a little bit. I remember watching games at the Coliseum in Oakland, like watching that on MLB Network or whatnot. But it is super exciting, especially like such a historic franchise like the A's, for them to be moving and kind of getting a fresh start, like fresh new feel in Las Vegas. That's super exciting for me as well. And my family has ties to Vegas. My grandparents have been going since the Strip was just two buildings in the middle of the desert. So they were super pumped. My grandmother was bawling her eyes out just because she was like, "Oh, like your grandfather would have been so proud." Like, so it was a special moment for me and my family. But also we have ties to Vegas because, one, we have family out there, but two, it's just been something that we've always visited.
Great. So they're not giving you a lot of time to celebrate. Actually, I think this podcast is maybe one of the last things you'll be doing before you're hitting the road to get this journey started. So tell us about like what's next in the coming days and weeks for you.
Yeah, so in the next few days, I'll head down to Mesa, Arizona to the spring training complex. Kind of right when I get there, I'll be doing meetings, physicals, kind of making sure that we're both on the same page with my health, but also just what to expect out of the next few months. And then from there are one of two options. I don't really know what I'll be doing yet. I'll either be staying in Arizona and just training, or I might stay in Arizona for a few weeks, throw some bullpens, and then finish up my summer playing in the minors, either low A, high A, double A, who knows. Sure. But yeah, there are a few options, and I'm sure that I'll find out once I get down there.
Great. So your University of Tennessee season ended almost 2 months ago. So I'm curious, what have you been doing in that time period physically to be ready to hop on a plane tomorrow and potentially go get right after it. What have you been doing to stay fit, to stay sharp on the mound, all those sorts of things? I know as somebody who's been at Austin Prep for a while, especially in the summers, you're no stranger to campus, so you're always on our field working out or in the weight room working out. So what have you been doing in those couple months to be ready to go once you get there?
Yeah, basically exactly what you said. I've been coming back to Austin. I'm super grateful that the facilities are open for alum like me. I've been, keeping my arm loose. I've been throwing bullpens, kind of not to the extent that I was in the middle of the season when we ended in June, but just keep my arm moving, just kind of being ready for anything, whether that's going to train or if I'm playing in the minors, like it'll be a quick adjustment. But, I'm in game shape. Been lifting weights here as well, so I feel great, and I've just been using the last month and a half very wisely just to kind of prepare for whatever road I'm on.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about your Austin Prep experience, because I think that's kind of where this all started. Got some stats for you. First off, you were here for the 2019 through the 22 seasons, and you have a career record at Austin Prep of 21-0, 216 strikeouts, a .58 ERA, multiple CCL, Boston Herald, Boston Globe, Max Preps, awards and honorees. So obviously a decorated and distinguished career here. So why don't you talk about those years here? How did that set you up for the success that you've had? And maybe just talk a little bit in general about your experience as an Austin Prep baseball player.
Yeah, I say this all the time to my family, but coming to Austin Prep was by far the best decision that I ever made, both for me as a person, but also as a baseball player. As a baseball player here, it was super competitive. Although, we had D1 guys, D3 guys, just college baseball guys all over the field, it was a super competitive environment. It didn't matter if you were at the top of the team or at the bottom of the totem pole. You had to compete every day for a spot, and that kind of taught me to fight for myself, but also know that, at the next level in college, you got to compete. And that's what Austin Prep did for me. It helped me prepare for the next level, and there are qualities that I took from baseball and JP. Goes without saying, but that's my right-hand man. I wouldn't be here without him. Sure. So there are things that, he's instilled in me ever since I met him when I was 13 years old, 12 years old, that will carry me for a while in professional baseball, but also in my collegiate career. Then as a person, Austin Prep kind of taught me accountability. And, that goes without saying because, you got to be accountable of your own work here, your own social life, etc. So just super grateful for my time spent at Austin Prep.
Yeah. You mentioned JP, Coach Pollard. So I'd be interested to know, as a Woburn native, you're close and local. Maybe talk a little bit about how that relationship started, and then, how did that factor into you coming to Austin Prep? What was your thought process of coming to school here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so at the time, I believe I was 12 years old, and I just started playing travel baseball with the Stampede. And at the time, JP, I believe, was a co-owner with the Stampede. I tried out for them. We spoke because he was the point of contact. The tryout was actually at Austin when it was the old field. Mm-hmm. When it was that mud pit, but
when it was a real swamp.
Yeah,
now
exactly.
It's the swamp.
Exactly. Yeah. But kept in touch throughout winter workouts. I remember as a 7th grader, I said to him, I'm considering Austin Prep. What does that process look like? And at the time, you couldn't really recruit people, but I kind of went to him with that business. So, he was happy to help me and kind of guide me through that. But then, middle school, I wanted to stay put, and then eventually when I was in 8th grade, I was yeah, I want to make this transition. Every guy that I've met through Stampede that plays baseball at Austin just kind of seems a little bit more polished is a good way to put it. Mm-hmm. Both communication-wise, but also as a baseball player, and that's something that I want to be a part of.
Sure. One thing that I've heard about the Austin Prep experience, and not only just as a member of the baseball program, but as a student in general, is our students are always very well prepared, either as an athlete or as a student, as they move on to the next stage of their life. So is that true? Is that applicable to you? Maybe what are some things that when you went to your next stop, either as a student or a student athlete, you were oh, I've done this, or I'm used to this because I went to Austin Prep?
1,000%. I think every stop that I've been to, whether it was UVA, Tennessee, and hopefully my next stop in the next few weeks or so, but I feel I've been more prepared both mentally, physically, and then in baseball-wise too. mentally, Austin Prep, both in the classroom but also baseball, like kind of threw a lot at you, and it kind of made you, very good with time management, managing kind of things outside of the classroom as well. And that's something that I've carried through my collegiate career and hopefully into my professional career, to where I feel like I have an edge on other guys just because Austin Prep threw a lot at me, and it was very beneficial for my growth as a person.
Sure. So again, back to that Austin Prep experience, I think the crowning moment for you over those 4 years was the state championship team in 2022. We got the state championship trophy here. We have the team here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how that run was, that championship experience, and it was just a great way to cap off your 4 years.
Yeah.
What I think is unique, when I think back, I think you actually pitched in the semifinal game. Jack Iannabelli pitched in the final. I think it was a 2-1, actually a really close game in the championship. And my recollection of you, you didn't throw in that game, but you were on that top step. You were the number one cheerleader. You were having a lot of fun. You were supporting Jack. You were supporting everybody else. So my takeaway from you, you were this ace for 4 years, but you served the team in so many other ways, in particular in that championship game. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about what that championship team experience was like?
Yeah, that team was, I said this to JP the other day, but I've played at both Tennessee, Virginia. I've played at a lot of cool places. I've played in Omaha, but nothing will beat playing at Austin Prep. Like, that has been by far the most fun I've ever had playing baseball. All of my best friends are from that team. Like, I still communicate with most guys on that team almost daily. But that team, that championship was just a kind of a holistic, showing of the work that my senior class put in for 4 years, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, there might have been like around 10 seniors on that 2022 team, and, the majority of us played. But going back to you saying, like, I'm a cheerleader and kind of serving my teammates, like, that's kind of what JP instilled in us, is like what he calls it is an evolution of a teammate. And like, freshmen are sponges, sophomore have a little bit more of a voice, junior use their voice a lot, and seniors kind of pave the way and set the tone for the guys. And if I'm sitting in the dugout, I could be mad that I'm not playing, but I helped get our team there. Sure. And it was just such a cool moment that, I felt like a little kid again, although that was my last, like, youth baseball game in a way. Like, it was just such an awesome time to be able to cheer on my friends and teammates.
Yeah. So you left that experience, and then 3 years at the University of Virginia and 1 year at the University of Tennessee. So, obviously as a professional athlete now, but as a collegiate athlete in the ACC and the SEC, competing at the highest level. So what was that transition like for you to really go play college baseball at the highest level? And what are some takeaways that you might have had from those years?
Yeah, I'd say I was probably as prepared as I probably could have been. Thank you to JP and thank you to the staff at Austin Prep. But my experience at UVA was a great one. We had 3 great years. We went to Omaha twice, and I learned so much about myself. It was a very militant style of a program there, and that kind of taught me a little bit of independence on myself, both on and off the field. I'm grateful for my time there at UVA, to Coach O'Connor and the rest of the staff there. So appreciative of giving me the opportunity. It was some of the most fun I've had in my baseball career. Started out as a reliever, didn't really pitch much the fall of my freshman year, like couldn't really earn a spot, so I was kind of just thrown into the fire in the spring. That was super fun, but also I learned on the fly. Like, there's a big thing in college baseball called tipping, where like the other team can like pick up like if you hold your glove differently on a fastball versus a changeup, so they basically know what pitch is coming. And early on in my college career, I figured out that the hard way. Kind of got roughed up for the first time ever in my baseball career, and that was kind of like a punch in the face. So, learned a lot about myself, both as a player but also a man. And then transitioning to Tennessee, my coaches at UVA left, so I thought that it was a good time to kind of get a fresh start. I'm grateful for the coaches at Tennessee. Coach Vitella, who's now with the Giants, he recruited me. Coach Elander took over. I'm grateful for both of them, but it was such a cool experience playing both the ACC and SEC. Not many people get to do it, and I'm just grateful that I was able to do that.
Yeah, talk a little bit more, especially about the SEC experience. That's the highest level. I'm just trying to imagine what Vanderbilt games are like and that sort of thing. So, what is that like to really, it's almost, you think about the SEC, you think about SEC football, right? But, SEC baseball is still that tense environment where there's the rivalries and the tradition and just this major, strong program. So what in particular about the SEC did you think was great?
Yeah, I think the ACC was phenomenal, but a different part of the SEC was just like there were more cameras and more eyes on you. The fan bases were way more into it. Each team was just a little bit more competitive, and I think what separates the SEC from different conferences is like every team in the SEC just has a little bit more depth. They might have 2 or 3 more pitchers in the bullpen that might be starters at other schools. And then when I think of my experience on like a game day at Tennessee, the stadium, it didn't matter if it was a Tuesday game or if it was a Sunday game, like it was sold out. And I think that was just across the board. It didn't matter if we were playing at Vanderbilt, Tennessee, or if we went down to Georgia. It was just an incredible experience no matter what. And something that I didn't see coming in my college career, but like say if me and my family would go out to eat in Knoxville, someone would recognize me and we would just get up and we'd be like, hey, can we get the bill? And someone would be like, oh, the guy at the bar already covered it. Like he knew that you played baseball. So, I mean, that type of community in Knoxville, but also just like that, I guess awareness of like who your collegiate athletes are, like that's super special. And I didn't know that world existed.
Sure. One thing I've always been very impressed with about you, and I've never been on the field with you and coached you and that sort of thing, but I've observed you in our school environment, and then even probably more so after you've left. And I think even today on the podcast has been a great example. Is you're very professional, very polished, very mature. I guess I could think about it. You were professional before you were a professional in everything that you do. Your social media presence is great. I think you're always very engaged and relatable and easy to talk to. So. And I think maybe, you alluded to as the Major League Baseball teams went through the draft process, I think that's probably something that is important to them and that they want to recognize. We want to bring in people that are going to represent us and we can trust and rely on. So how did you kind of become this person? Is it just innate, natural? Were you trained? But, you're very comfortable in this type of situation. You noted that in the SEC, you probably had a lot of cameras in your face. So just talk a little bit about how you kind of became the person that you are.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit trained, but also I think that I was just kind of born this way. Like my mom always calls me stoic, especially when I was younger. I was super like monotone / like direct, straight to the point. As I've grown up, I've kind of developed a little bit more of a personality to go along with it. But, the trained aspect, like I remember my times here at Austin Prep, like whenever there was like someone from the Herald or someone from the Globe, like JP would teach us, like, this is just one small example, but this is something that stuck with me. Like if you're wearing a hat and sunglasses, don't block the AP logo on your hat with the sunglasses, like put them on the back of your belt. So just kind of little trained habits like that have kind of led me to kind of know how to handle myself in these types of environments. But, another one was, like I mentioned before, a ton of cameras in your face at the SEC. But after I'd pitch, like, there was a whole press conference room in our stadium dedicated to press conferences, and there would be 40 to 50 media outlets in there every day. Ton of huge cameras, ton of voices. So, definitely trained, but, I'd like to think that, this is the person that I am as well.
Sure. I want to put you on the spot a little bit. So, you had a super successful career here, ended with the 22 state championship, which was our last year in the MIAA. We've continued to have success in the NEPSAC. And I'm really interested kind of thinking about your era on, so 2018, 19 through now. What would your Austin Prep 4-man rotation be with a setup guy and a closer? You think through that? Who would your all-time team be?
It's a good question. I got to put Jack Annabelli up there. He had an amazing career here and a great college career as well. Am I including myself or no?
I think as a Major League Baseball player, you should probably be in the group. Yeah.
All right, I'll throw myself in there. Cam Sagan as well, who graduated in 2019. He was a senior when I was a freshman. Great role model, but also he was kind of like the ace of the team, captain of the team that year. So, you got to throw him up there. And then who's my fourth starter? Let's think about this.
You guys were so good, we could probably just roll with 3 guys.
Yeah.
So if you can't think of another one.
In 22, we basically rolled with 2 guys.
Yeah.
But so we'll roll with 3 guys. And then for closers or a setup guy, we'll go long relief guy, Dom Gabardi. He was a great teammate here. He graduated here in 23. But also, like, whenever me or Jack would pitch in 22, he was kind of the guy that would come in and put out the fire out of the bullpen. And then, let's see, we got one more guy. I'll go with Colin Jana.
There you go.
Yeah. He was always like that fierce competitor whenever we played back in 2019. He kind of started a little bit, but also closed some games too. So, I mean, he's got the versatility that we need on the staff.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're super proud of you. Like I said, I'm watching from afar a little bit, but to have seen everything that you've done here, and then at the college level, and then ultimately making it to Major League Baseball, again, I grew up with the A's, so I'm glad that you're there. I will say, though, that, and you know this, athletics players, wherever they are, Oakland, ultimately Las Vegas, they are a little edgy. I think they have a little bit of reputation for being maybe a wild group. They like to push the limits. You're very polished and professional, so I think you might have to maybe reconsider a new culture. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, like, I remember dudes like Dallas Braden or Grant Balfour, like, just kind of going in the game, slamming bottles over their heads. I don't think you'll be seeing me do any of that, but I mean, I might yell out some stuff every now and then. But yeah, that's definitely kind of been the theme with the A's ever since that I started watching them. That's funny.
For sure. Well, one thing that I would like to do before you go is, I think, like I said, you're the first professional athlete that we've had here on the podcast. So could we get a few signed balls? Would you mind doing
Absolutely.
that for us?
Let's
I
do
think
it.
One for us here. My guess is that Dr. Hickey would probably want one, and maybe even JP. So if you can maybe sign these for us, and then we'll get you on the plane to Mesa, Arizona. How's
Awesome.
that?
Let's do it.
All right. There you go here. Get these signed. So I'm curious, what do you have to pack?
I have no idea. I'm literally like, I'm going down there with maybe a backpack and a duffel bag.
There you go. So it's not like youth summer camp where they give you like a packing list. It's like,
No,
it's Major League Baseball. You gotta figure it out.
Yeah, you got to figure it out, but also, like, they basically supply all the baseball things. Like, I'll probably only bring my glove, and then everything else they take care of.
I'm sure they'll take care of you. You won't have to be sent with snacks. Thank you. Here, one more here. How have your old Austin Prep teammates been in the last week or so? Super happy for you, I'm assuming.
Super happy for me. When I first got the call, like about an hour later, a bunch of them just kind of showed up at my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was so cool.
There you go.
There we go.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate everything you've done for us, and appreciate the time today. And stay in touch, and hopefully, down the road, if as a World Series champ, maybe we'll have you back on the show.
Absolutely, that sounds great.
All right,
thank you very much for having me.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.